Don't forget to stick around through the end of the video for information on our Arrive Serpentor Arrive giveaway. With a shout of Shazam and almost like magic, we are back to take another look at young Billy Batson and his alter ego, Shazam. Only this time we are taking a closer look at the DCEU version. In the original Shazam film, audiences got the chance to follow the adapted origin story of young orphan Billy Batson and his difficulty to trust others, his inability to fit in any foster care, and his lack of desire to really allow anyone the chance to get close, likely due to the severe abandonment issues he would feel and his unending search after believing he only became separated and lost from his birth mother. Billy eventually finds himself successfully placed in yet another foster home with several other children, which ultimately becomes a good fit despite his original typical efforts. Billy befriends fellow foster mate Freddie Freeman, enough so to later defend Freeman from some school bullies who chased Billy into a subway that would change his life and destiny forever. While in this subway, Billy is transported to a magical place, the Rock of Eternity, home of the ancient and powerful wizard Shazam. Shazam finds Billy to be worthy enough to be a vessel of the great wizard's powers, granting him the ability to access them at any time by saying his name, by saying Shazam. We now get to enjoy the trials and tribulations of a 14-year-old boy who can now magically turn into an adult superhero imbued with incredible magic powers. From showing off, to experimenting, to collateral damage, to saving the day, audiences watched a very realistically portrayed journey of a 14-year-old mind given abilities beyond belief. The portrayal of transformed Billy Batson is quite masterfully delivered by the talent of actor and king of Smolder, Zachary Levi. Thanks to McFarlane Toys DC line and the forthcoming follow-up sequel film, collectors can now have a very well sculpted recreation of this character and likeness in their latest release. Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan, aka JK of JK Collects, and remember, I'll be posting a new video almost daily as new ads are brought into the collection. And if that sounds of interest to you, please click that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. In this episode, we are taking a closer look at the McFarlane Toys 7-inch scale DC Multiverse DCEU Shazam! Hey everyone, welcome back. Here it is, our DC Multiverse, DCEU Shazam, or more specifically for the Fury of the Gods, the follow-up of the first Shazam movie that we just discussed a little bit. Not all the details, I don't want to spoil everything, because I still want you to be able to check it out if you haven't seen it, and not ruin any surprises. But back here on the back, we have a good old shot of Zachary Levi, pretty good representation of him, right? A good drawing, and zapping his muscles, his biceps, to make them even bigger than they already are when he is this magical being. But very cool. I do like this drawing on the back. And one thing that I will say is I like this costume, right? So some of the DCEU costumes, everybody has their own opinion. My opinion is some of them had some opportunities. Could have been a little bit better. Kind of went a little too over the top, I guess. But anyway, on the side here, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and that typical side window that we have here. And this is a sticker that McFarlane Toys put on there for whatever reason. I guess they had it on the side of the shelf and they wanted to be able to see it when they packed it up and sent it. But there is our guy, and without further ado, let's bust into this. Much ado about Shazam, and we will get it out of the package. And there we go. Typical entry from the bottom, just so that if I want to put it back together, I can, and I can display it. So there we go, empty box. We're going to move that to the side. We'll take the old tray out as usual, and of course we have to take a look at the good old DC stand. Doesn't change. It's a good old blank. They keep using the same thing. Why change it? And then there we go. I got to point out the death of Superman, right? It is the month. It is beginning. The anniversary is upon us. So there we go, and there's our card with that same artwork that we saw on the back. So very cool. Moving that out of the way. And let's start taking everything out of the tray here. We've got some tape holding these really long Shazam lightning effects in place. I like these. These seem like they're fun. Now, I'm always a fan of these coming with the figure. Sometimes, though, when you try and apply them, they don't necessarily work out, I think, as planned. I noticed some of the Shazam ones, not Shazam ones, the Flash ones is what I'm saying. I'm opening Shazam right now. But the Flash ones are a little bit, let me pull them out real quick. Hold my rambling. Okay, so there we go. He is out, empty tray. The Flash ones had a little bit of an opportunity because if you're posing one can go straight like it's running, but then the other one goes in an odd direction, however it's posed. Anyway, one thing I want to point out here is, as I was rambling, there were no elastics in there for me to cut and to remove. So they figured out they just have it pop in there and stay, and the cape was tucked around the back. So McFarlane has moved away, perhaps, from those little rubbery elastic pieces. Okay, so now that I've been talking about these little effects so much, let's take a look at these. They're very similar. They are not identical, like sometimes these things are. This one has a lot of identical parts to it, and it looks like it started out that way, but maybe some subtle changes, because we have this piece going up and then this piece is coming down. So it's like they started, a lot of the basics stayed the same, got mirror imaged, and then just some slight adjustments to not make it the same thing. But we will take a closer look at one of them because they are similar enough. It is a soft plastic, but it doesn't feel as soft as a lot of these effects normally are. It's like a rigid plastic, but has that flexibility because it's so thin. You know what, maybe that's better. Maybe that does end up making it a little bit better for posing, who knows. But there we go. So it is a translucent, kind of very light blue plastic, almost clear. It's so light, but very neat. You know, obviously lightning. So that Shazam bluish color that we have. And then it came with 2 extra hands. So one being a fist to match the other fist that is on the figure, and one being that good old thing. No, it's kind of like a flight thing, or a little bit of an action thing with a hand, or you know, maybe it is to mesmerize or mystify the opponent, right? Just wave the fingers in front of them until they are hypnotized. But the sculpting on this hand, right? So you can see the details in the lines. Let me bring the lights down just a little bit to make sure that we can see so it doesn't get washed out. I do appreciate having the flexibility of these lights so I can do that and make sure that we don't really miss anything, because there's good line details sculpted into the hand. Is it perfect? No. Can you still see some casting flash? Absolutely. But I do appreciate the work at the detail. I mean, yeah, it could be better. I have definitely seen better. I believe I've seen better from McFarlane Toys, like as far as fingernail visibility and stuff like that. But maybe this is one that's designed, perhaps this was a gloved hand, right? And they've just painted it flesh tone, because it almost seems like it could be. Because you can see the idea of the detail, but it almost seems like there's a layer of something over it. You see that? This may have been a gloved hand that was repainted. But anyway, I digress from that. And let's take a look at this fist. So yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, but let's take a look at Shazam himself. Okay, so one thing here that immediately stands out. The face, right? So it is very well done. That is an excellent representation of the actor, of the performer that plays Shazam, the Zachary Levi Levy, however it's pronounced. But hopefully this plays on the camera. There is quite the tea of red, of blush on here, and it looks unrealistic. It looks almost like a strange sunburn, because it goes right down the middle of the forehead, along with the nose, and then right across underneath the eyes, on the cheeks, the cheekbones. Can you see that? It's, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not a fan of it, right? It's something that is definitely immediately standing out. It even travels down to it's a plus sign across the face, because it travels down to the chin as well. So I think that is not the best job. There we go. That's a good angle to show it. That is not the best job. It kind of takes away from how well this was done and the rest of the work on it. Because, I mean, the lips are very well done. The eyes are incredibly well done. They are looking straightforward as well, but just the detail in there, right? So it's a very greenish yellow, but then it almost looks like there's even detail within the eye. So it's nicely done, and unfortunately that red plus does detract from it. Eyebrows painted very well. Texture on the hair also. Yeah, very well done. So everything else is a solid job on this head, but we do have the detractor of the red. Anyway, I digress from that. I will let you make the opinions that you want. Hopefully you can see this on a store shelf and decide for yourself, or this is going to be enough of a visual to be like, you know what, I don't mind. Or, you know what, maybe not for me. Neck is attached to the torso. We've got decent side to side. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, he may have a red plus on his face, but by golly, he can tilt his head. If we tilt too far, we do get a gap there on the side, but, I mean, who tilts their head that far? And what's he doing? Is he like a puppy trying to listen to what you're saying? Okay, but up and down. Up is pretty good, right? So that's definitely beyond the horizon or horizontal, and down goes as far down as it can to the neck, and that is very good. It's beyond looking straightforward. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, this is going to work, and it does. And it's not a smooth rotation. It does have, see, it's got points, almost like detents, where it pops in different spots to hold it in place. But it does do that full rotation, so I'm happy to see that. The shoulder, we have an excellent butterfly joint with texture all the way through on this piece, the little olive type piece. If you've seen it popped out, I accidentally popped it out on a review with another figure, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of like an olive. So yeah, excellent movement on that. And then the shoulder itself, you can feel it's got like detents to move, just like the head does. So it kind of pops, but it does have good movement, right? So all very good. And it has an excellent rotation all the way around. We have the bicep tricep, which is interesting because it's like, you can see part of it is cut off right there. It stops. Normally this just matches up with the shoulder, but here it stops and a little bit of the bicep and tricep are cut off, creating a line. I'm curious why they did that. I wonder if it was a rub thing, or they felt like it makes this travel a little bit more smoothly, but I've seen plenty where it had the nice round shoulder and this went all the way to it and it rotated perfectly fine, just as easily as this. Oh well, either way, it does work very well. As far as rotation, flexibility is also excellent with that double elbow. It does have pins, but that's kind of, you know, par for the course with McFarlane Toys. Sorry, I was looking at the bracer here on his arm. There's the silver and gold work on it is very interesting, right? So it's there's a lot of gold and then it transitions to silver in different places. So that one takes a little bit of a very close look to see if it's done properly, but it does have a lot of its own internal forgiveness because of the parts where it does transition. You're like, you know, is that intentional? Did it mess up? There's a little bit of gold still in the silver right there, but anyway, we move on. We do not have forearm rotation, but we do have wrist rotation. You know what? We have the hand will rotate, and even the gold part, this wrist, the ball itself will. So, and that also gives the good old McFarlane wiggle capability, right? So as things rotate, the hand does have the ability to travel a lot more. And then of course the other side has that same flexibility going on, and that same gold and silver on the bracer, but the paint on it is a little bit different, right? So the silver, it's a little bit farther down here than it is here. Makes me wonder, is this part supposed to be silver and that gold? And it just missed. Because there's such random lines of where this all meets up. I'm going to say, it's an assumption. I feel like the gold and silver were misaligned on this. I'm just going to throw that out there just by how uneven and how there's really almost no rhyme or reason to it. With this being up here and then it being down here. I feel like something was misaligned on both of these and it just didn't work out. But same flexibility, same capability with the wrist and hand. We do have the mid-torso, which has that full 360 of flexibility is what we'll say. Nice movement, and it does flex backwards very well, and you can see there we go. Let's get the focus working. There we go. The texture of the suit travels all the way back, even to where we get that little bit of a gap if we bend it far enough backwards, which that's an excellent bend backwards, and then forward is pretty decent, right, for that good old crunch. And then we do have waist rotation and the typical softer rubber going over the bottom of the mid-torso, the abdomen area, so it kind of prevents any kind of gap visible down here, but it can create a little bit of a gap here on the side for the part that we're rotating away from, if that makes sense. Yeah, so there you go. You can see it a lot more. But the good news is we're not dealing with a whole lot of paint, so not dealing with a whole lot of concern on paint rub-off. This is definitely that cast red plastic with some darker maroon painted on top of it, and this is that flexible. And we have that typical joint for McFarlane, and it does have excellent split capability, but you can see this, it does crush that and look very odd. So, you know, if you like posing your figures in splits, maybe this guy's not going to be the best candidate for it. Obviously no upper thigh rotation because we do not have a break in the legs here. We do have a double knee, which has excellent flexibility for limbering up, right? For the fight, the race, whatever you want it to be. Maybe he races Flash and Superman, who knows? No calf rotation with the boot. Very interesting to see the gold here, and then above it, there's like another layer of red plastic boot. You see that? Curious. But you know what? There we go. And here, it looks like the gold and silver are almost applied better. But I'm very, you see there's silver popping up here with points. If If you have an idea of why this is a thing, I would love to hear it in the comments, because it almost seems like it was improperly placed, but I'm curious with those lines right there. I wonder if that is just an artifact or something from it messing up, because it really looks like it was just supposed to follow this inner piece, especially looking down here where the gold and silver seem a little bit more cleanly done. But anyway, I digress. The foot does forward and backwards very well. And then of course, if we rotate this joint and hold it in place, if we can, doesn't really want to work very well, but it's one that if you can rotate it and get it to stay in place, you'd have ankle breaker capability. There we go. That looks a little rough. That looks painful. So there we go. And both do have that capability. Just got to be careful with that joint if you want it to be that way. And we kind of looked at paint as we went along. There are certainly a good bit of opportunities. I can see right there some red came through where some of the gold of the lightning bolt scratched off. But this is interesting. I like the transition of the yellow to the orange on the lightning bolt. I'd say it's well done. I think it's neat. I don't think it's necessary. I would have liked to have just seen it completely yellow. That's just me though, especially when we've got this gold outline. Completely yellow on that would have worked pretty well. These medallions to hold the cape on, they're okay. There's a little bit of sloppiness up here where the gold comes through. You know what? Let's see. There it is. There's our focus working with me. I apologize for the focus being a little bit slow, but you can see there's a little bit of sloppiness on the gold coming up there. The belt line, the gold is applied very well. We already looked at the bracers slash gauntlets. So, you know, those are bracers because we have a bare hand in there. And then you can see the cape is plugged in the back here and attached up there. And it's that soft rubber, the white, and we've got the gold down at the bottom. And definitely some opportunities on that, right? So there's a little dirt right there on that one, but also a gap, a little bit of white showing through. I wouldn't say this is the best paint job that I have seen from a McFarlane toy, especially with it being so much cast plastic. A little bit of red on there, but not a whole lot of spots where it did need to be painted. The red on the face, the oddness of the silver and the gold matching up. I don't think it is a perfectly executed paint job. I think the sculpting of the face, the likeness was very, very well done. I think it was a little flawed because of the red on the face, but is it enough to detract from the figure? Not necessarily. However, I would probably say if you were torn between the two Shazams and you had the opportunity to get the other McFarlane Toys one, I might lean in that direction. If you only wanted one, that would probably be my recommended shelf Shazam, I guess you can say, unless you're a big Zachary Levi fan and you want the King of Smolder. Okay, but there we go. He stands pretty well on his own. Very little coaxing with the joints and everything, but he's working all right, and we'll be right back with some 360s of him. Okay, and here we have it. There is our Shazam Fury of the Gods version from DC, our DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys. And since I mentioned it, here is the other one that was a recent release, the gold label one. I believe it was a Walmart exclusive, just so you can compare them very quickly side by side. I do like the vibrance of the red of the new one versus this one. Now that I see them side by side, I would have liked to have seen the gold label one a little bit brighter, more vibrant red. However, in looking at them side by side, excellent in the likeness of the sculpt, tossed to the side, I think the gold label one is still my preferred, just because it has that comic look, and I usually lean more towards that. But there we have it. Regardless, there were some paint opportunities. There's that red-faced opportunity. If you get a chance to look at it on the shelf or, you know, audit it a little bit, see if it's there, see if it's too much to stand out for you or not. It's not a deal breaker for me. I'm still glad I have it. But there you go. Thank you. Hey everyone, we are currently running our SERPENTOR Arrive giveaway, where we are giving away one Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified SERPENTOR with Air Chariot. All you have to do is comment on this video to be entered to win. Each video during the giveaway period will have a secret keyword shared within the video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Because the first person to comment that keyword gets pinned to the top of the comments and gets 2 entries for that video. A special thank you goes out to all of you for making it possible for us to be able to already start giving back. Well, that'll do it for this one. Thank you for checking us out and for joining us on this collecting journey as always. And remember, we are posting new videos almost daily as new ads and releases come. If we ever do a review of something you're trying to find for yourself, please follow and DM us on Instagram at JKCollectsToys so we can help with the search if we don't already have a way to get one. Also, if you got anything out of today's episode, be sure to subscribe and click that like button so you can stay up to date on any new ones. If you'd like to see some more videos, there are a couple of quick links on your screen right now for you to check out. But no matter what, thank you for taking the time, and remember, we are all in this world of collecting together. Let's look out for each other. Thanks.